Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's broadcasting for another presentation of Southern Virginia University Athletics. Today's baseball doubleheader is between the Comets of Capital University and your Southern Virginia University Knights. I'm Dawson Weidrich, joined today by Quinn Meyer here at the fields of Perry McClure High School in beautiful Buena Vista, Virginia. Quinn, great to have you here with us.
Glad to be here as well. It's a great day for baseball, coming off a win, so it should be a good day.
Absolutely. It's definitely beautiful compared to the last doubleheader we had here at the fields here in Perry McClure. That was 2 weeks ago. The Knights were up against Penn State Mont Alto, and it was rainy, it was cloudy, it was kind of miserable, if being quite honest. But today, sun is shining, we're all ready to go, and the Comets will be out to bat first in today's contest. The Comets coming into today's game on a 2-game losing streak, actually playing just yesterday, losing to Washington and Lee by a score of 2-14. So obviously, you played one game yesterday. You're obviously a little tired from that. You're trying to recuperate really quickly, have a quick turnaround. Whereas for Southern Virginia, their last game was exactly a week ago here against Ferrum College, where they won 5-2.
Yeah, exactly. So Capital coming off of a tough loss and playing yesterday, like you said. So certainly gives the Knights a little bit of an advantage, having been able to practice for about a week now with no games, coming off of a win, and having pretty good weather for the past few days. So hopefully they can get a quick start early.
Absolutely. Up to bat first for the Comets is number 5, Regan Birch, a freshman from Blanchester, Ohio. And pitching for the Knights to start today's doubleheader is number 25, Stockton Hall. That first pitch was a strike, making it 0-1 count, and a swing. That's going to be a foul ball, making an 0-2 count. We saw Stockton Hall get a little bit of action here in their first home game against Penn State Mont Alto. He pitched the first 4 innings, if my memory serves me correctly. Was pretty consistent. That one just a little outside, making it a 1-2 count.
Yeah, the Knights have been getting good pitching during this start to the year, especially their last game against Ferrum. So their defense and pitching hasn't been a problem. It's been pretty stellar, actually. So hopefully they'll be able to get on the board more often. That's one thing that they've struggled to do, is getting hits, and maybe we'll see a couple home runs as well.
Absolutely. Getting some hits stringed together to get something consistent going. That's hit to third base. And an error on the infield. I guess a mishandling of the ball by number 10, Will Parker. And so that'll get Regan Birch a single.
Yeah, hopefully they can settle down after that. Will Parker is coming off of a pretty strong stint against Ferrum. He pitched the last couple of innings and was able to help the Knights get out of a jam, so hopefully he can recover from that and start off strong.
That pitch a little low to the outside. And you mentioned a little bit of a pickle that Will Parker was in the last couple innings against Ferrum College. In fact, the last inning they were trying to hold off to get the victory. Ferrum College had bases loaded. Trying to steal second is Birch, and he is tagged out at second. Fantastic play there from the Knights defensively. But like I was saying, Ferrum College had bases loaded. They only had, I believe, 1 out when they first had bases loaded, and it could have easily been a situation where they give up the lead in the last possible second of the game. But they're able to hold off, like you said, Quinn.
Yeah, it's a good sign. They've had strong defensive play, like I was saying, and being able to hold on for the win is a good sign for this team.
Good sign of maturity and just making sure that you know that you can get it done defensively. If you're put into a bad situation, you know you can get out of it unscathed. So with the last pitch makes it a 3-1 count. That'll be a foul ball.
And Capital, they're a high-scoring team. I think they scored over 10 runs on 2 different teams this year, so they've proved that they can score. And that's one thing that the Knights have struggled with this season, so it should be a good test. And they should be able to use their fresh legs and to get the better of Capital today, hopefully.
Absolutely. So that'll make Lamar walk to first. That was number 12, Keelan Lamar, the freshman from Pinkerton, Ohio. And you mentioned Capital scoring 10 runs in 2 games. There's one where they scored 14 runs against Cincinnati Claremont, and then 10 against Miami Hamilton. So like you said, very capable of running up the score and able to get a lot of things going offensively. So like you said, Quinn, the big struggle today for Southern Virginia will be able to play consistent defense solid pitching throughout these 2 games, which is a lot to ask for in a doubleheader. That's a lot of pitches. That's a lot of defense you have to play. And also offensively, like you said, if Capital's able to get some things going, you got to make sure you keep up offensively.
Exactly. And I think the Knights certainly are capable of keeping up. They've had a couple of players who probably for their standards haven't played as well as they hoped they could. So hopefully they can get a few more hits today.
And that is a foul ball there. Still make it a 1-2 count. Pitch or batting right now, excuse me, is number 23, E.J. Santana, the senior from Crofton, Maryland. So once again, a 1-2 count. And that is hit short into right field, so it'll be a single. And Keelan Lamar.
That's a great throw.
Looks like he will be out at second, so another great play at second by the Knights defensively gets the second out.
Yeah, that's what you need, good responses, and so far the Knights have been able to do that.
I mean, you had Santana hit a very good spot just past the infield to the right side. That usually is a good recipe for just getting the bases loaded or just advancing runners, but that time, like you said, Southern Virginia able to get the job done.
Yep, they're showing their strength so far, so we'll look to hopefully end the top of the inning here and get to the batter's box.
So it was an 0-1 count. That's popped up. Looks like it'll be a foul ball. Indeed, it will be, making an 0-2 count. A little bit windy so far here today, here in Buena Vista. That last pitch made it a 1-2 count. So Hall looking to get the strikeout to get the Knights back in the dugout. That one's a little low to the inside, evens it up at 2-2. Stockton Hall, freshman from Kaysville, Utah. You know, as a freshman, he's really taken on a sort of a leadership role. Hit into center field. Bounces short of the fence. The Comets had potential to get a run in, but they'll hold up E.J. Santana at third base as a double for Ryan McKinney, the sophomore from Walker, Texas.
Yeah, that was a great hit. Right in the spot that you need it to get a couple of bases, and they were able to do that. Fortunately for the Knights, it's not. It's still 0-0, so hopefully they can get out of a jam again just like they were last game.
The only thing missing from Ryan McKinney's little bio is the word Ranger after Texas. I mean, being from Walker, Texas, any Walker, Texas Ranger fans out there would appreciate that. That first pitch was a ball. Once again, hanging to center field. That'll get a run in. It might get 2 for the Comets. In fact, it does. So very early on, the Comets able to get 2 runs on the board in spite of some of the great early defensive play from Southern Virginia.
Yeah, not the ideal start that they want, but they do have 2 outs, and hopefully they can end it here and be able to respond.
Indeed, try to stop the bleeding very quickly. Up to bat now for the Comets is number 1, Grayson Gully, the junior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. As a ball, make it a 1-0 count. But it's like you said, Quinn, if the Knights are not careful, the Comets are very capable of getting a lot of runs scored on you very, very quickly, making it very difficult for you to come back and make it a game.
Yep.
It's a 2-0 count. That one down the middle, make it 2-1.
Here, I think it's important for Stockton just to focus on the batter. With 2 outs, doesn't need to worry too much about where the other runner is.
Barely stays in the field of play. And that advances Hunter Wilson to third. And it goes down as a double for goalie. So very early on, the Comets getting the bat on the ball. Logan White now up to bat for Capital, the senior from Newark, Ohio. So now you're in a bit of a situation where you're already down by 2 runs very early in this first game of the doubleheader, and you have a very likely chance where if it's just one good hit, you could have 2 more runs scored. So Southern Virginia head coach Jerry Schlegelmilch at the mound talking to Hall, trying to figure out their strategy.
Yeah, you want to get as many innings out of your first pitcher as you can, not to fatigue the others. So hopefully they can figure it out and get a strikeout here.
A strike down the middle, that'll definitely help. And you're absolutely right. You don't want your pitchers to get fatigued really quickly because, again, there are 2 games today. Both games go to 7 innings, but that's a lot of pitches to be had. So you want to be very cautious about how you handle your pitching situation. That makes it a 1-1 count. Right down the middle, make it 1-2.
Those are a couple of good-looking pitches right there.
That one a fastball right down the middle. I'd imagine if Logan White sees a pitch similar to that this next time go around, he's going to swing at it. That time is a little low. So right now, the Comets have runners on second and third. That one a little high from Hall, makes it a full count.
I do like how Hawley's not shying away from the batter. I think for many people, you're struggling the first part of the inning, and it's easy to pitch around people or pitch timidly. So it's good that he's still going for it.
The Knights get the play at first, and they will finally get the third out after 2 runs scored by Capital University. Like we said earlier, they're able to stop the bleeding at least after 2 runs. So we'll see if the Knights can respond at the bottom of the first. I want to remind you this presentation of Knights Broadcasting is brought to you by Straws Drinks and Eats here in Buena Vista, Virginia. If you're in the Buena Vista, Virginia area and need a place to get a soda or a treat or just a place to relax, Straws Drinks and Eats is the place to go. Highly recommended. I go there very regularly. And, again, I can vouch they have a great product. So thank you, Straws Drinks and Eats, for partnering with Southern Virginia Athletics. We appreciate your support. So now, when we talked about in the early parts of the top of the first inning how the Knights throughout the season defensively been pretty strong, the thing for them is that they needed to get some consistency offensively, get a couple of hits together, able to capitalize on opportunities where you have a couple runners on base, get some RBIs. And that's something that, again, has been inconsistent for Southern Virginia throughout the year. But it's something they'll need to be better at today if they want to get out of this early hole.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the Knights, they have quite a few players who have 4, 5, or 6 hits on the season. So they certainly have a slew of guys that are capable of breaking out. So you're just hoping that 1 or 2 of them will have a big day and they'll be able to climb back in this.
Absolutely, and up to bat first for Southern Virginia will be Seth Lloyd with Will Parker on deck. And one of those batters that's been a really great addition to the Southern Virginia roster so far this year is one that's not on the batting lineup for this first game. That is Marcelino Leonardo Jr., the freshman from Dajabon, Dominican Republic. We don't have the information on whether or not he's being saved for the lineup for the second game of the doubleheader or if there's other things happening with that. If we do get information, we will let you viewers know.
Yeah, that seems like it would be a tough loss if he's not able to play today because he does lead the team in runs scored, so he's on base quite a bit. So hopefully Knights will be able to overcome that, or whoever steps in his place will be able to get on base today.
And so up to bat is Seth Lloyd with number 20, Trevor Woodyard, the freshman from Pinkerton, Ohio, pitching for the Comets. That one's a little high. That one a little low, but a lot of power behind that pitch.
That's a good eye from Seth. It's easy to start swinging when your team's down so early, but he's staying calm.
Absolutely, keeping that composure, waiting for the right pitches. That's 3 straight balls thrown by Woodyard. That one right down the middle. And folks, you can hear the ball making contact with the glove from 2 miles away. I mean, there's a lot of power behind Woodyard's pitches. And Lloyd thought that was a ball because it was a little low, so he anticipated running to first. But it makes it a full count, so great response from Woodyard.
Yeah, that was a close one.
That one low to the outside, so Lloyd will advance to first. But again, with Woodyard, he threw 3 straight balls to start off the bottom of the first, but to come right back with 2 straight strikes. And then up to bat now for the Knights is number 10, Will Parker, with 43, Nick Daines on deck. Here on the infield, so you have Lloyd advancing to second, but Parker is out at first. But the Knights will take that, even though it does, result in an out. You do have Lloyd advancing to second, putting him in somewhat scoring position now with Nick Daines up to bat.
Yeah, that's a fortunate bounce, but it's what you need for the Knights. You're struggling to score a bit this season, and to have someone on second base with still 2 outs in your back pocket is a good sign.
Daines pops that one up. It'll be a foul ball. Got a little underneath that one.
Yeah, I'd say Nick Daines is a player to watch. He had a really solid season last year, and he led the Knights in slugging percentage. So, look for him to have a big game hitting-wise.
That one a little low from Woodyard. Make it a 1-1 count. That one low to the inside. Make it a 2-1 count. But like you said, Quinn, earlier with Seth Lloyd, Knights showing a lot of patience. Make sure to wait for the right pitches. They're not just going to swing at everything just because it's in the general area. That's going to be a foul ball off the right side. Makes it a 2-2 count.
Yeah, hopefully the Knights can start making some good contact with these pitches. Like you were saying, he's bringing a lot of heat today. So if they're able to connect, then hopefully it can go far and go over the wall.
That one a little low makes it a full count. That's another thing, too, we saw with the Knights against Ferrum College. They were able to come away with the 5-2 victory, but you saw them hit a lot of foul balls, swing a little too early a lot of the times, swinging too late, just really having a hard time timing those pitches. Maybe they can fix that problem today. And that'll be a strikeout. 2 outs now. Now number 20, Mitch Smith, up to bat for Southern Virginia. And Mitch Smith, the sophomore from Layton, Utah. still has Seth Lloyd on second. That one right down the middle, make it an 0-1 count. Little to the inside, but gets him to swing, makes it an 0-2 count. We've seen Woodyard, in the small sample of pitching we've seen so far, able to get a couple of nights to swing at some pitches, especially if they're a little on the inside. That one's a foul ball. Keeps it at an 0-2 count. That one a little high. Makes it 1-2.
Yeah, he's been throwing some good pitches. He's been tough to read so far, which is probably why he's gotten a couple of guys swinging.
That one's fouled out the right side again.
Just can't quite make direct contact with the ball. Quite a few fouls so far.
But you love to see the continuing battle from the batters so far in the early goings for Southern Virginia. It's out to right field. And an error in the outfield allows the Knights to get a run in with Seth Lloyd. Nice RBI there for Mitch Smith. That's exactly what you needed for Southern Virginia in that scenario. You had 2 outs, you had a guy on second. The last thing you want is to waste that runner on second base and then get no runs scored and get back on defense. But the fact you're able to pull it back within at least 1 run, that's a victory in and of itself early on today.
Exactly. It seems so far that Capitol has been outplaying the Knights, but to be only down 1 run now and with a runner on base is great.
See, this runner on first being Mitch Smith, and at bat now is number 26, Ben Agnew. Benjamin Agnew from Park City, Utah. It's a 1-1 count. That's popped up into left field. It might drop. It'll be a foul ball is what they'll call it. Looked like for a second it might drop right in that sweet spot between the third baseman and the left fielder, which is a great place to hit it, especially if you're trying to advance, Mitch Smith to either second or third.
Yeah, Capitol's right fielder is playing pretty far center, so not a bad spot to connect with if you're trying to get your runner to third.
Agnew swinging at a pretty low pitch that time. That'll foul out the left side. Smith able to get back to first. Another foul ball. Still stands at a 1-2 count with 2 outs. That one a little low. Smith will advance to second. It's now 2-2 count, 2 runs to 1 in favor of Capital. And the Knights once again in semi-scoring position if they can get a solid hit.
A couple of fortunate bounces for the Knights, so that's good news. It'll be able to jumpstart them and start hitting and getting some runs in.
That one a little low, makes it a full count. If Agnew plays his cards right and he gets to walk to first, the Knights will have 2 runners on base with Benji Horsley on deck. Another foul ball. You, of course, want to see him swing at that one. That one was very much in that up-in-the-air 50-50 call range where if he just lets it go by and it's a strike, all of a sudden you have the wasted runner on second. Another foul ball.
It's good to see him fighting those off. Hopefully the more he makes contact, the more confident he'll get.
That one really low, and so with that, Agnew will advance to first. And you also saw Smith make his way to, or he ran to third. He'll head back to second. Now Horsley up to bat. Again, runners on first and second. So again, after the quick first 2 outs at the bottom of this first inning, the Knights have really battled back. It's very similar to what, Capital was able to do at the bottom of the first. They had 2 quick outs, and then they fought back, got 2 runs in. We're seeing history repeat itself just within 1 inning. That one a little inside, make it a 1-0 count.
Yeah, you're pretty much just one good hit away from tying it, and then you have 2 other runners that can be in good position to take the lead. So a tough start is turning into a rather good start, it turns out.
And you're one really good hit away from taking the lead. That one a little bit of a high strike. It makes it a 1-1 count. And he was throwing a little low to the inside, high to the outside. Again, back to what we saw earlier in the bottom of this inning. Another strikeout. That's the second strikeout for Woodyard in that first inning. So with that, the score stands after 1, 2 runs to 1 in favor of the Comets of Capital University. Again, both teams had 2 quick outs, then battled back to get some offense going. Now Southern Virginia's task is making sure that they do not let Capital have anything in the second inning in order to give themselves more of a chance at climbing the way back, possibly taking the lead if they can keep up momentum offensively.
Yeah, exactly. And even though they're down 1 inning or down 1 run after the first inning, I think this is certainly something they can build off of. It's a quick start, some good hitting to begin the game, and honestly, Capital is a good matchup for the Knights. I don't think these 2 teams have ever played each other, and the strengths of Capital University are some strengths that the Knights want to have, and so if they're able to come away with a victory or 2 here today, it would be very impressive for the Knights.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about, Capital having strengths that Southern Virginia wants to have. One of the best ways to learn in sports is to learn from your opponents. You learn from your coaches, you learn from your teammates, you learn from watching the sport. But you also learn from the opponents that you play against. Look at the things they're doing, the things they do with, talking with their teammates, things they say, how they carry themselves. And if you learn those lessons from these other teams, it's better off for you. And so with that, I want to remind you you're watching this on Knights Broadcasting here on YouTube. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below, let us know how we're doing, and click that notification bell that we get notified every single time we go live with Southern Virginia Athletics. We thank you for your support. Now up to bat for the Comets is number 41. That is Tristan Burns. Hits in right field right away, and that's a single for Burns. So Capital wasting no time at all getting back in rhythm offensively. In fact, he got the hit before I can even say he was up to bat.
Yep, this is going to be a good test for the Knights. Really test how good their defense is. And as you're saying, they can improve with every game, learn from each other teams, and come away from this better.
Number 22, Connor Feeney from Brecksville, Ohio, up to bat. As the ball, so a 1-0 count with Stockton Hall still pitching for Southern Virginia. That'll be a foul ball. That's popped straight up into center field and brought down by number 43, Nick Daines, the junior from South Jordan, Utah. That's one out now. Now we're back to the top of the batting lineup with number 5, Reagan Birch. What a play in the field there. Double play. My goodness, you talk about coming back with a vengeance defensively. My goodness, number 10, Will Parker, right there. Johnny on the spot. It's almost like it was telegraphed to him that it was going his direction.
Yep. Will, just where he left off last game, making great plays on the mound and defensively. So that's one way to end it quickly.
Such a drastic change from the first inning where, again, you had the 2 outs and then the 2 runs scored for Capital. Then right there, the Knights able to get it done very, very quickly. One of the faster innings I think we've seen from Southern Virginia defensively so far this season.
Yep.
And so we'll see. Oh, go ahead, Quinn.
And you know, the Knights should be full of confidence, especially on the defensive end after getting out of that jam against Ferrum last game. And then here, another great example of being under pressure. And Will Parker with no hesitation sends it over to second, and they flip it for 2 for a double play.
Yeah, absolutely love to see it. And returning to the mound for to pitch for the Comets is number 20, Trevor Woodyard. He had 2 strikeouts in that first inning. Walked 1 batter as well. But again, we talk about how he was battling with the batters, how the batters weren't really able to get consistently contact with the ball, at least clean contact. A lot of foul balls in that first inning from Southern Virginia. So we'll see if he can keep that up.
Now batting for the Knights, number 6, Ty Martinez.
Ty Martinez up to bat for Southern Virginia. Looks like he's the one who will be batting in place of Marcelino Leonardo Jr. today. Swings at the first pitch, makes it a 0-1 count.
Yeah, Ty hasn't played too often, just a few at-bats this season.
And he's quickly in an 0-2 count. Easy play in the infield for the Comets.
And even though that's a quick out and a pretty easy play at first, that is good that he makes contact. Maybe he comes back later in the game with some more confidence.
I mean, it's like you said, not having a whole lot of at-bat opportunities so far this season. It's very easy to get in your own head or to let the nerves get to you. But again, making contact like that, getting in the field of play, that'll definitely help you to improve more and more. You see a hit in the left field. That is out of here. that is out of here for St. John Johnson. And just like that, it's tied up 2 runs to 2. I know along myself and many people in attendance here, when you saw that first inning, the comments able to go up 2 runs to 0 made you worry a little bit because the offensive inconsistencies for Southern Virginia. But when you have St. John Johnson having hits like that, there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, he labeled that one. I think it was the first pitch of the at-bat, so no mistake there.
And now up to bat for the Knights is number 2, Nate McCollum. And just 1 out. That one a little to the outside.
And I think that's just the second home run of the season for the Knights, so off to a quick start here, just like we talked about. It's what they needed.
Absolutely hitting it out. On the left side of the field, that fence I believe is at 320 feet. Should be another easy infield play for the Comets. And with that, we'll go back to the top of the batting lineup with number 34, Seth Lloyd.
Now batting number 34, Seth Lloyd.
So after the home run, you have 2 outs now. Also, on the flip side for the Comets, even though you've given up a home run so far, if you're able to get this quick out, that's quite a limit to the damage. You could potentially have had a couple of runners get on base. That really has been the case for Southern Virginia in this inning so far. I mean, you never want to give a home run, obviously, but at the same time, if you can limit that to just that 1 run, you're definitely happy.
Yeah, exactly. Home runs certainly can be deflating for a defense, but we'll see what happens here.
Loans to the outside, makes it a 2-1 count. That one a little low as well, makes it a 3-1 count. That one a little to the outside, so Lloyd will advance to first. Now up to bat is number 10, Will Parker, with number 43, Nick Daines, on deck. And now you have a runner on first. You could try to get him to advance to second, get some more scoring opportunities here. That one right down the middle, make it a 0-1 count.
And going back to the Johnson home run, he's had a sneaky good start to the season. He played pretty well last game against Ferrum, almost scored on 1 run, and here he gets a home run, so he's playing well. Another good hit.
Fantastic hit, and we'll see if Lloyd, he is able to get to third and make it a double for Parker. So now after the 2 outs, you have 2 runners on base. Very good scoring position here with Nick Daines up to bat.
There's some more consistency from Will Parker. Has the most hits on the team this year, and he just added to it there.
Now see if Nick Daines is able to bat anybody in. That one a little high. It was a very tempting situation for Lloyd.
Yep.
I mean, the catcher for Capital, he thought he had it in his glove, and it flew behind him. Lloyd could have easily snuck in there. But in this situation with just 2 outs, it's better to be safe than sorry. That'll be a foul ball off the left side into the parking lot.
Nick's got some power, so let's see if he can ring one behind the fence here.
That goes into left field. Should be an easy catch, and indeed it will be. Bringing that one down as number 22, Connor Feeney. So that ends the run for Southern Virginia, but the Knights were able to tie it up 2-2 thanks to the home run from Sinjin Johnson. Very much needed, and so with that, again, talk about the early start from the Comets, the Knights matching that rather quickly and doing a great job defensively responding. So we'll see if they can keep up that momentum that they had in the previous inning. But before we get to that, I want to once again thank our athletic partners, Straws Drinks and Eats here in Buena Vista, Virginia. If you're in the neighborhood, if you're visiting Buena Vista, Virginia, or visiting the campus of Southern Virginia, go check out Straws Drinks and Eats. They got all the great sodas you could possibly want, all the great flavorings. You know, you can get strawberry, cherry, all the good stuff. For me personally, my drink of choice, Dr. Pepper, cherry, vanilla, lime, and a little bit of almond cream. Can't go wrong there. So go to Straws Drinks and Eats today if you're in the area. Highly, highly recommend it. Thank you, Straws Drinks and Eats, for partnering with Southern Virginia Athletics. So a refresher for those who did not see the Knights defensively in the last inning. They were able to pull off the double play to get the third out very, very quickly, able to shut down the Comets from getting any sort of scoring opportunities at all, which, again, you had the great infield play from Will Parker. We'll see if the Knights can keep up that sort of play here at the top of the third. Still Stockton Hall on the mound for the Knights.
Yeah, being a doubleheader today, wouldn't mind replicating that. Just not to fatigue your pitchers, as we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely. That makes it a 1-1 count. Makes it a 2-1 count. That was fielded by Hall, able to get the easy out at first.
It's a good play.
Fantastic play, and that gets Keelan Lamar out, and now up to bat for the Comets is number 23, E.J. Santana. And like you said, Quinn, great job from Hall to field it, make the easy throw to first, get yourselves going defensively. That one left Hall's hand a little late. Able to get Santana to swing at that one, make it a 2-1 count. Make it a 2-2 count. That one a little low. It'll be a full count now for Santana. That'll be a foul ball, so Santana's still battling in there. Santana will walk to first. Now to bat is number 44, Ryan McKinney. So now the Capitals, or excuse me, the Comets of Capital have a runner on first. Started to think there that it was an NHL game with the Washington Capitals for a second. Him in the left field, this could, it bounces just short of the fence.
Wow. It's a great hit, but actually a fortunate bounce off the fence prevented the runner from going to third. So while it's tough to give up a hit like that, it's a fortunate bounce for the Knights.
Absolutely, bounced right back to the left fielder to where he could easily get it back to Will Parker. So now the Comets have runners on first and second. Now up to bat is number 7, Hunter Wilson, the sophomore from Hilliard, Ohio. Really short bunt. The Knights able to get the out at first. And now the Comets have runners on second and third. The umpire is coming up. They might be claiming that it was a foul ball. It's hard to tell from our position exactly how far that ball went on the bunt. But it looks like it will be out. They just moved the runners back to first and second. So now up to bat is number 1, Grayson Gully. So that will be 2 outs.
To get there at first. Super close, almost got the out there.
Very, very close. Now it's a 1-0 count. Nearly got Gully to fall through with that swing. Makes it a 2-0 count. We're able to hear when the call was made, but look at the Comets dugout was very, very happy about it. A little conversation now happening between Southern Virginia head coach Jerry Schlegelmilch and the umpires.
Looks like the capital runner on first base tried to, looked like he was making his way to second base, but then I don't know if he didn't realize there was someone on second base already, or
still waiting on this conversation with the umpires and Southern Virginia coach Schlegelmilch.
So
go ahead, Quinn.
So even with 2 runners on base, not too bad of a spot for the Knights. They do have 2 outs, so hopefully they'll be able to settle down here and in the top of the inning quickly.
I mean, you just got to make a good infield play and get it to first. Just get a quick out, and then you're back in the dugout before you know it. Looks like the conversation's still happening here. But while we're waiting, I want to remind you you're watching this on Knights broadcast, and be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below how we're doing, and be sure to hit that notification bell that we get notified every single time we go live with Southern Virginia Athletics. So we're not sure what decision was reached, but the conversations have ceased, and play will resume. That pitch a little high. And at bat right now is number 7, Hunter Wilson. That's popped up center field and brought down by number 43. That is Nick Daines. So kind of like what you said, Quinn, the Knights just needed one play to go their way to get the 3rd out and get back to the dugout without allowing any runs in that inning.
Yep, Knights playing to their strengths right now. Good defense, but they've also been able to get a run in each inning, so hopefully they can keep that going.
And that's kind of been a theme for them. Whenever they've been able to score, they've usually scored just a little bit at a time. Maybe every other inning they're able to get 1 run in, or maybe 2 runs in if they have a really successful inning. That's kind of the pattern so far. So it holds up. The Knights hopefully could take the lead in the bottom of this 3rd inning, maybe do something a little extra, maybe expand that lead if they do get it. But the thing you can't do right now is just, go in, get 3 quick outs, and then be done. Because, again, the more time you give this Comets team with the talent they have offensively, the worse you're off. Because, again, the Comets will score. They're one of those teams that you can pretty much guarantee most of the time they will get more runs on the board. So if you're not doing what you can to limit the effectiveness of those runs by not getting runs yourself, you're just digging a hole for yourself.
Yep, exactly. And I think it was mentioned in our last broadcast how it seems like so far this season the magic number for the Knights, outside of one game, has been 5 runs. If they've been able to get more than 4 runs, they'd have 2 more wins than they do right now. So ideally you'd like to score more against a high-scoring team like Capital, but if they can keep it up, then they're looking at crushing their season average for runs in a game.
Right, absolutely, and you make a great point because when they got their victory in their last home game against Ferrum College, that was the magic number, was 5 runs compared to 2. And so, like you mentioned, with a team like Capital, if they're a high-scoring team and you average about 5 runs per victory, then your job defensively just gets that much harder and more emphasized. And so still pitching on the mound for the Comets is number 20, Trevor Woodyard. And up to bat for Southern Virginia is number 20, Mitch Smith.
And they've been having success against Woodyard so far, so hopefully they can take advantage of that as they head around the batting order again.
That one a little low to the outside, and if Woodyard continues to start to struggle against these Knights batters, you can imagine maybe 1, maybe 2 more innings left with him on the mound before they put in another pitcher. That pitch makes it a 1-1 count. That one a very inside strike. Those are tough ones too because they're not comfortable to swing out, but they're just inside the strike zone. Bring it down the infield is number 1, Grayson Goalie. It's now up to bat as number 26, Benjamin Agnew. That one sinks into the strike zone, making it 0-1 count.
Bent's another guy that hasn't had too many at-bats. I think just 1 or 2 so far this season. So hopefully this opportunity will settle him down and it'll help the Knights get on the scoreboard again.
It's on to left field, but brought down by number 22, Connor Feeney. So kind of like what we feared might happen with Southern Virginia, 2 quick outs now. But that doesn't spell doom right away because, again, the first inning they were able to get some runs was after they had already had 2 quick outs, and then they got some runners on base, able to make a couple plays, hits into the outfield that advanced runners, and then got some runners in.
Exactly. You wish that one dipped a little earlier so you could get on base, but it was a good connection, so it's promising for the rest of the game.
Now to bat for the Knights is number 44, Benji Horsley. That's 2 straight strikes. Make it an 0-2 count. Another foul ball. That one a little low, make it a 1-2 count. And, in these doubleheader games, you have a lot less room to work with because for those who don't know back home, in these doubleheader games at this level, each game is only 7 innings. So we're basically halfway through this first ball game. You only get so many more opportunities at bat if you're Southern Virginia. Another ball. For those wondering the score stands right now 2-2 in the bottom of the third inning with 2 outs, full count. That will be Horsley. He's walked. Will go to first, or at least there was a little miscommunication there at the home plate. Horsley thought he got walked, but instead it's just a full count. Now right down the middle for Woodyard, another strikeout. It's the 3rd out, and we advance to the 4th inning here in Buena Vista. The score still stands 2-2. For those who missed the earlier parts of the game, the Comets took an early 2-0 lead in the bottom of the 1st. The Knights were able to respond with a run, at the top of the 1st. In the bottom of the 1st, the Knights were able to respond with a run of their own. In the 2nd inning, the Knights were able to get a home run thanks to St. John Johnson. Now, once again, advancing to the 4th, score tied 2-2.
Yeah, it's been a pretty even ball game so far. It's gone back and forth. So it's a good test for the Knights. This is one of those games where if you're able to come out on top, then it's a ultra confidence booster for this group.
Absolutely. Again, this is a team, you talk about Southern Virginia, who was on a bit of a losing streak before the game against Ferrum College last week, able to get a little bit of their confidence back, and then the week of a break without any games. And so you think about the mentality that Southern Virginia has right now. You gave up that 1st inning of 2 runs. You're able to come back. It's basically a 0-0 game now, being a tie ball game. So now it's all up to you defensively to, once again, get things done and get some things going at bat. We really haven't seen a whole lot of action at bat for Southern Virginia since the 2nd inning with that home run from St. John Johnson. But while we have this break, I want to remind you you're watching this on Knights Broadcasting here on YouTube. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know how we're doing. And be sure to hit that notification bell that we get notified every single time we go live with Southern Virginia Athletics. Thank you so much for supporting Knights Broadcasting. So still pitching for the Knights is Stockton Hall. And up to bat for the Comets, hitting it into midfield. Really quickly, that was number 21, that being Logan White. Seeing a lot of first pitch hits for the Comets so far today. They're very comfortable with Stockton Hall right now. They feel like they've got his timing down pretty well.
Yeah, he's got to dig deep here. No outs and someone on base already.
Now up to bat for the Comets is number 41, Tristan Burns. That first pitch being a ball, make it a 1-0 count.
But again, for the Knights this year so far, pitching's been a strength. So no need for them to panic. Focus on the batter and make good plays like that.
Absolutely. So able to get one quick out. So still got a runner on first for the Comets. And 2 outs right now. Now to bat is number 22, Connor Feeney. Another conversation here with the umpires. I've had a couple of these brief little meetings so far early in this doubleheader.
Yeah, I think these next 3 games for the Knights, the next week or so, is really important because next Friday, I believe, against Brevard is when they start their conference play. So you definitely want to get on a hot streak here and get the most out of these games against these non-conference opponents.
So it looks like there is indeed 2 outs.
2 outs.
And White was remaining on first, but they called him out, and after deliberation, they basically sent him back into the dugout.
Yeah, because I could be wrong, but it looked like as if he made the catch before it hit the ground, and he was on first. So yeah, that should bring 2 outs.
That'll be a low ball from Hall. Now batting is number 22, Connor Feeney. Makes it a 3-1 count with 2 outs. And that strike right down the middle. Feeney anticipated that being called a ball, so now it's a full count. Here in the top of the 4th inning in the first game of today's doubleheader. Parker able to field that one. Gets it to first, that's 3.
Good poise again by Parker. He's playing well.
He's made a couple of fantastic plays like that so far today, able to set up a couple of double plays. Especially the fantastic double play that we saw in the 2nd inning, I believe. So now it brings us to the bottom of the 4th. The score tied 2 runs to 2.
And that's another good thing about batting in the bottom of the inning is that you get to play defense first, and as just happened, if you hold them to 0 points, then you get to swing and hopefully take the lead at the end of it.
And also shows you like what you need to do to come out of the inning on top, right?
Exactly.
You get an understanding of, okay, this is what they did. Let's try and see if we can match it or do even better with it. That's one thing I always enjoy with baseball is if you have that opportunity to be batting in the bottom of the inning, it just gives you a lot of confidence and just a better understanding of what you need to expect from yourself and your batters.
Absolutely.
So the Comets are staying with Trevor Woodyard on the mound. He's had a couple of strikeouts today. He did give up the 1 home run to St. John Johnson. But other than that, you have to like the productivity he's had so far.
Now batting for the Knights, number 6, Ty Martinez.
Ty Martinez up to bat for Southern Virginia. You mentioned him earlier, Quinn, that he hasn't had that many at-bats this year. Was able to make some contact in his first at-bat today. We'll see if he can build on that. That'll be a foul ball, make it a 0-2 count. That one a little high from Woodyard, make it 1-2.
Yeah, it seems like it'll be important for Martinez to get on base here, as the next batter up I think is St. John Johnson, who obviously has a good feel for the pitcher today with a home run on his first at bat. So
that's a light way to put it. Should be another easy infield play. Indeed it is for Grayson Gully. Unfortunate because, again, whenever the Knights have been able to get things going, it isn't until after there's at least 1 or 2 outs already. So that's a pattern they definitely want to break at some point in today's game if they want to get more in a rhythm and get comfortable when they're at bat. That way they're able to take a couple more chances, maybe try to steal a couple more bases. It just gives you a whole lot of freedom if you're able to get on base before any outs occur.
Absolutely.
And like you said, Quinn, St. John Johnson at bat now. First pitch is a ball. That one a little outside. Woodyard definitely pulled that one to the left.
And you got to wonder about the mentality of a pitcher after giving up a home run to a player and seeing him for the 2nd time.
Johnson fouls that out the right side.
Makes good contact there.
But it's like I said, it's like with a quarterback in football when you throw an interception. You have to have short-term memory. You have to, of course, learn from the previous time you faced off against them, but you also have to make sure that you don't let it psych you out of your own game.
And that's a great thing about baseball is these guys, it's impressive how they can rebound from losses, from errors, and still perform at a super high level.
It's the whole mental aspect of sports, right? And that one's a little to the outside. That makes it a full count. Because no matter how strong you train your body, no matter how great you make your reaction time, as Johnson is walking to first, if you don't train your mind to have good mental toughness and endurance, then all the other training is for nothing. I mean, it's like you, Quinn. I mean, you're a long-distance runner, right? You've been doing that for a long time. There's a whole lot of mental aspects to that. You can run and run as much as you want, but you don't have mental toughness, it ain't going to amount to anything.
Absolutely. Yep, they always say that running is 90% mental, 10% physical. So, and I'm sure a lot of it's kind of similar to baseball in that way as well.
Looks like Woodyard's day will be done. He had a pretty consistent day today, had a couple of strikeouts. Once again, did give up the home run to Johnson, but overall was very consistent, really made the Knights batters earn each and every hit that they got. And now pitching for the Comets is number 46, Joey Womble. Womble, the freshman from Eustis, Texas. He's a left-handed pitcher. And, of course, adjusting to a new pitcher in the middle of the game is tough enough as it is, but then you switch up the hand that the pitcher is using, the direction the ball is going. That totally changes your entire mindset and approach. You kind of have to think to yourself, okay, I got to adjust this guy, figure out his tendencies. You might start to see the Knights swing a little bit less often on his pitches, at least starting out.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, they faced Woodyard had a solid day, despite the home run and the second run that he let in. He had 3 strikeouts, so not a poor day by any means, and we'll see if the Knights are able to figure out the new pitcher.
And now up to bat for the Knights will be number 2, Nate McCollum. And following him, we'll be back up to the top of the lineup with number 34, Seth Lloyd. And again, there is 1 out, score still tied, 2 runs to 2 in the bottom of the 4th. Here's McCollum. McCollum going for a bunt there.
And McCallum's a guy they want to get going to. Until last game against Ferrum, hadn't been up to bat too often. He has just 1 hit so far in the season. And
that one a little high there from Womble.
It's a good eye so far.
Makes it a 2-0 count. That one also a little high. And I talk about the mentality of batters going up against a new pitcher. It's a similar type of thing for pitchers as well. I mean, you're in the dugout for the first couple innings, and they have to kind of get back in, get yourself a little warmed up in game, able to get a strike right there and make it a 3-1 count. And that makes it a full count. McCallum uncharacteristically swinging at a very low pitch. And McCallum strikes out. That makes 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. St. John Johnson still at first.
Yeah, that was a tough one to swing at. But still got an opportunity here to take the lead.
And Seth Lloyd at bat now. Hits it into right field. It'll be a foul ball.
Foul. Wow.
Went over the fence. I mean, my goodness, that would have been the 2nd home run today for this Knights roster, but forced it just outside that yellow pull we got out there. Makes it a 0-1 count.
They're sending it, though, just a few feet from a 4-2 lead. So gotta like that.
Of course, easier said than done. Just strain it out just a little bit more,
Yeah.
and then you're golden.
Oh, there's...
Johnson might be able to get to second, and indeed he does. The error trying to throw it to first. So again, St. John Johnson now at second. The 0-1 count with 2 outs.
Yeah, being a pitcher is a unique position. The game kind of flows through you, similar to being a quarterback in football, you could say. And so if you have a hot pitcher, then it's tough to beat.
That one a little high there from Womble. That makes it a 1-1 count. That one a little high to the inside. Makes it a 2-1 count. Womble taking his time. That one also a little high. Makes it a 3-1 count. Womble so far starting off, again, this is his first inning pitching in this game. Had a little trouble getting his pitches a little lower into the strike zone where they need to be. He's definitely got a high release going right now. Gets Lloyd to swing at that one. Sometimes in commentating, it feels like the players hear exactly what the commentators are saying and make immediate adjustments just to prove the commentator wrong.
Seems like it.
Now a little to the outside, and Johnson will advance to third. And so Lloyd will walk to first. So now Knights have runners on first and third with 2 outs. Now to bat is number 10, Will Parker. Again, when we've talked about his infield play so far today at third base, able to set up a couple fantastic plays to close out some innings.
Yeah, it's a good spot to be in. Will Parker obviously seems to be playing well and has some confidence, so he's the type of guy you want to be in the batter's box with a guy on third and a guy on first.
Absolutely, Will Parker, the senior from Simi Valley, California. We'll hope to run at least one of his teammates in. More than likely it would be St. John Johnson, considering he's at third. And Johnson's done a great job at advancing the bases while Lloyd was at bat. Of course, he got a little bit of help from the faulty throw to first base, trying to tag him out. And the Comets switching up pitchers yet again. This time is number 17, Justin Mason, the junior from Coshocton, Ohio.
Yeah, Womble didn't seem super comfortable in those few pitches that he threw, and they're in a tight spot here in the bottom of the fourth, so felt like they needed to make a change.
Yeah, like we mentioned before, Womble was very much having a high release on a lot of his pitches, and again, when you walk a batter like this and now you have a situation with 2 runners on base and you are in a tie ball game, you're trying not to give up the lead for the first time today. You got to put someone in that feels a little more comfortable, has a little more confidence right now. And so we'll see if Justin Mason can be just what the Comets need right now to close out the fourth.
And if you're the Knights, you want to take advantage of this. Pitcher coming in relatively cold, and obviously by making that change, Capital might feel a little bit under pressure. So if you're able to get at least 1 run here, then you're going into the last 3 innings with a lead.
Yeah, and we're going back to a right-handed pitcher with Mason. Again, Womble was left-handed pitcher, and before Womble was Woodyard, who's a right-handed pitcher. So it's going back to what the Knights had become sort of accustomed to some degree in the first couple innings. So we'll see if readjusting to that makes the Knights a little bit more comfortable to swing, or if they're able to get some solid hits. But we will have to see. As up to bat now, as we mentioned, is Will Parker with number 43, Nick Danes, on deck. Lloyd making his way back to first. That'd be a foul ball from Parker. Made some solid contact with it. Had he kept in the field of play, it would have been a great location. Could have easily gotten Johnson in. But now it's an 0-1 count. That'll be another strike, making it 0-2 count. Of course, you're looking at Justin Mason. He's thinking to himself, just get a quick strikeout, no big deal. Let's get back in the dugout. That one a little to the inside. Makes it a 1-2 count with a score still tied 2-2 in the bottom of the fourth.
And something to note is pretty sneaky, but Seth Lloyd, he's been on base all 3 times. He's been walked, I think, but you know, this part of the batting order has been a success for the Knights so far.
It absolutely has. That last pitch makes it a 2-2 count. As you talk about the people that are on base right now, you have St. John Johnson on third. He had the home run earlier today. Seth Lloyd, who you mentioned, has been on base every single time he's been up to bat. And then you have Will Parker, who, although batting-wise hasn't necessarily made any stellar plays, but defensively he's really been in a groove today. So again, 3 guys who are feeling a lot of confidence and are making a lot of great plays all over the place. Another easy infield play for the Comets. And the Comets able to get that 3rd out. And that brings us to the top of the 5th inning. Score still tied 2-2.
And tough to not get a run there, but you need to build off that and hopefully get a couple more runs here in the next inning. But as we were talking about earlier, to be able to string together some wins in a row, you need some players to break out.
Yeah.
And so far this game, it's been St. John Johnson, Will Parker, good defensively as we talked about, and Seth Lloyd's gotten on base every single time. So hopefully they can keep that going.
Absolutely, and you have Stockton Hall still on the mound for the Knights. Again, he's been very steady in this first game of the doubleheader. In that last inning, we saw the Comets go through 2 different pitchers. In fact, well, they started off with Woodyard, then they went to Womble, and then they went eventually to Justin Mason, who was able to help out close that inning. So we'll see if Stockton Hall can keep up that consistency and, again, get the Knights back to the dugout really quickly like they've been able to do since the first inning, really. And that's really a crazy thing, is that those 2 runs you see on the scoreboard here, those are all scored in the first inning for the Comets.
Yeah.
Since then, the Knights have been able to make plays. Stockton Hall's been able to get some strikeouts. It's just been really steady sailing defensively from there. And so with this little break, I want to remind you, you're watching this on Knights Broadcasting here on YouTube. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe down below. Also be sure to comment down below, let us know how we're doing. And be sure to click that notification bell that we get notified every single time we go live with Southern Virginia Athletics. We appreciate your support of Knights Broadcasting. And we also want to shout out our athletic partners, Straw's Drinks and Eats here in Buena Vista, Virginia. Highly recommend good drinks, good treats, and good times. And right down the middle by Hall. And at bat now for the Comets is number 5, Reagan Birch, the freshman from Blanchester, Ohio. 2 strikes in a row from Hall.
Yeah, as you mentioned, super steady from Stockton Hall.
Hit out into right field. That's a single. And mishandling the outfield. That actually ended up being a double, possibly a triple. Indeed, it will be. Thanks to the mistake in the outfield for Southern Virginia, Birch makes his way to third base.
I should probably check myself before I say things, but
It's the commentator's curse. Again, anytime something happens and you as a commentator pointed out, the opposite will occur. It's just bound to happen. So now the Comets, right off the bat, pun intended, are in scoring position with 0 outs. And that makes it an 0-1 count off the foul ball.
yeah, that's just what Capital needed. They're struggling to get on base early, and they did just that with no outs and already someone on third.
Again, that's something the Knights have struggled to do so far today. They've been able to get people on base after 1 or 2 outs. But Capital able to do exactly what the Knights have not been able to do today. The low pitch from Hall. A good recovery there. That makes it a 1-2 count. And batting now for the Comets is number 12, Keelan Lamar. Of course, you have Birch threatening at third. And that is a dangerous throw there, trying to get it to third, because if you overthrow that, that's essentially a run scored very easily for the Comets. That one a little low from Hall, makes it a full count.
You'd like to see Stockton dig deep here and get a strikeout. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he has a strikeout today, but this would be the perfect time to get one.
Just like that. See, the
There it
commentator
is.
curse works
There it
both
is.
ways. Hall able to get the much-needed strikeout with Birch on third. So now up to bat for the Comets is number 23, E.J. Santana. That one a little to the outside for Hall. Make it a 1-0 count. That one very low to the inside. Surprised that that one was not called a strike. That seemed like it was right down the middle. Makes it a 3-0 count. That one very inside. And Hall will walk Santana.
Now batting number 44, Ryan.
Now number 44, Ryan McKinney, will be at bat for the Comets. A little conversation about to happen here on the mound for Southern Virginia.
And despite allowing 2 men on base so far, having someone on first does allow the opportunity to turn a double play. So if the opportunity is there, Knights need to take it.
Absolutely. Again, with 1 out, if you get the double play, you're able to close things out without allowing a single run, which would be the perfect scenario considering the start of this 5th inning. So they will keep Stockton Hall on the mound.
And a bright spot for Capital so far is they have been getting consistent hitting from their group, or at least consistently being on base. I think at least 6 or 7 of them have been on base so far. So they're continuing their hot streak.
Once again, this is McKinney at bat. Again, there is 1 out on the top of the 5th. 2 runs to 2 is the score. And a quick strike. Hall really got McKinney chasing for that one. That one dropped a little low, make it a 1-1 count. He nearly got McKinney to swing at that one.
It's a good-looking pitch. He's recovering nicely.
That one a little high. It sometimes makes you wonder what exactly is said in those conversations on the mound to get pitchers to either get pitching a little better, more accurate. That one drops in the strike zone, make it 2-2.
Yeah, I think oftentimes people think baseball is a super simple sport, just get on base and score, but there's a lot of strategy and a lot of time to think about what you need to do.
And a lot of scenarios you have to play out in your mind.
Exactly.
And another strikeout for Stockton Hall. It's now 2 outs, a runner on first and third. And much like in the game against Ferrum College last week where they had 3 runners on base in the top of the 9th, it's a situation where if you play it wrong, you could allow a couple of runs very easily, but the Knights have an opportunity to come out of clean once again. That one a little to the inside. But, of course, the runner on third, there's an added pressure, as if there wasn't enough pressure on a pitcher, to try to make sure that you at least contain it in a space where your catcher can easily get to it. That was Brophy on first, who's the designated runner. A little hesitation there, deciding to throw it to second. So now a runner on second and third.
Yeah, and oftentimes with a runner on third, when you have a right-handed pitcher, oftentimes they can play mind games, and they try to get in your head by creeping forward. So Paul can stay cool and collected here.
Absolutely. Again, like it's in your peripheral vision. You see them coming a little closer and closer. Makes you think a little bit. Another strike. Makes it a 3-1 count. That one another strike. Make it a full count.
Good looking pitch.
Indeed, number 7, Hunter Wilson, was ready to run to first. And a strikeout.
Wow.
What a recovery from Stockton Hall. Again, you had 2 runners, one on second, one on third, and not allowing a single run. Talk about a clutch performance in that 5th inning for Hall. Again, it just shows you that this Knights team, they know, they proved themselves last week and a couple times throughout the season where if they're in a bad situation defensively, no need to panic. Just buckle down, do what you need to do, get some solid pitches in, and talk about solid pitching, gets his first couple of strikeouts in that inning to close it out.
Exactly. They're not phased at all. And once again, you have another opportunity to take the lead here in the bottom of the inning. Absolutely.
So for bottom of the 5th, score is still tied 2-2. It has been that score since the top of the bottom of the 3rd, excuse me. And so now, like you said, the Knights have a chance to respond. It's been a little bit of a struggle since the home run from St. John Johnson, but hopefully can get a couple bats on balls, able to get a couple solid hits, maybe into space between the outfielders, give me a single or double here and there, because again, you have the batters to do it. And again, we talk about getting runners on base before any outs occur. If you can do that, you can get yourself comfortable, give yourself a little bit of room to gamble a little bit if you want to, try to steal some bases. And we'll see what can happen here. Returning to the mound for the Comets is number 17, Justin Mason, who closed out the previous inning for the Comets, taking over for Joey Womble.
But yeah, as you were saying, it's the next piece to the puzzle. Early in the game, they showed us that they can have a quick start, score in 2 consecutive innings to start the game, and now they need to get on base early in the inning.
And we'll see if number 43, Nick Daines, is up for the task as he's up to bat. He'll be followed by number 20, Mitch Smith.
Yeah, I think Nick's due for a big one. as I was saying, had a solid season last year, and just waiting for him to strike.
Now on a strike on the inside. That'll be a foul ball. That makes it a 1-2 count. That one a little to the outside for Mason. Evens it up at 2-2. And out at first is Danes. So unfortunately the pattern continues for Southern Virginia with number 20 Mitch Smith up to bat with number 26 Ben Agnew on deck.
And today Mitch Smith, he's seen some success. He has 1 RBI, and hopefully he'll be able to ride that wave of momentum here with the big hit.
And in a center field, and brought down by number 5, Reagan Birch. Some good communication here between Birch and Wilson in the outfield. And that's 2 quick outs.
It's a good spot. Just hoped it would carry a little longer towards the fence or dip a little earlier.
So now up to bat is number 26 Ben Agnew, who's facing 2 outs and no runners on base. That'll make it a 1-0 count.
And here for the Knights, you'd like to see someone new get on base. They've only had 3 different guys have hits so far.
It's been a very much low hit numbers game for both teams. Again, started off very well for both teams offensively in the first 2 innings, but since then, it's just been very much a defensive stalemate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after the first inning, you thought it'd turn into a track meet with how much they're hitting and scoring, but so far it's been pretty stagnant.
It shows the adjustments you make, both coaching-wise and with your teammates, just saying, okay, well, that was very fun. Let's not make it run like that anymore. Another dropped 3rd strike and out at first. So 3 quick outs once again with Southern Virginia at bat. And that brings us to the top of the 6th inning with the score still tied 2-2. And once again, these doubleheader games, they only go to 7 innings. So you have the Comets and the Knights both having 2 more chances at bat. And considering the last couple of innings for both teams, that's not a whole lot of opportunity. So if both these teams' defenses continue to stay as dominant as they had the past couple of innings, you could very much well be seeing a 3-2 score game, or maybe even have some additional innings. We'll just have to see if it's the next team to step up offensively, honestly, at this point, is what feels like it's going to win the game. The next team that really has a good at-bat, gets a couple of runs in, or maybe even just 1 run in, that team will probably take the win in this first game. And so with this break, I want to give another shout out to our athletic partner, Straws Drinks and Eats, here in Buena Vista, Virginia. If you're in the area, if you're visiting a student on campus, or you're watching a student athlete perform, if you have free time, go and check out Straws Drinks and Eats here in town. Fantastic atmosphere, great drinks, great treats, and great times. Go check it out today. Thank you so much, Straws Drinks and Eats, for partnering with Southern Virginia Athletics.
Pitching change for the Knights. Now at the mound, number 42.
We have a pitching change for Southern Virginia. one of Knights Broadcasting's very own Jaden, a.k.a. Rock Giles, Jr. from Mesa, Arizona. And he is pitching against number 1, Grayson Gully. We've seen a lot of great work from Giles so far this year whenever he stepped in late in games. Gets Gully to swing there. That's 2 strikes. Rock is one of those pitchers that just is incredibly consistent. And when he gets into a rhythm,
Oh, yeah.
you know it. And there's strikeout after strikeout. He can really get it going.
Yeah, as you said, he's been able to step in well for the Knights this year, just giving up 1 hit in total so far. And just like that, caught swinging.
Strikes out his first batter. So quick first out for Southern Virginia.
Now batting number 21.
Number 21, Logan White, will be up to bat.
And again, going back to Stockton Hall, he was able to pitch very steadily for about 5 innings or 4 innings, which bodes well for the rest of the afternoon.
Again, when you're able to use your pitchers like that very consistently, you're not subbing them out really quickly in this doubleheader, it really bodes well for you because it shows you can rely on your pitchers to pitch for an extended amount of time, especially against a team, like Capital, who, like we mentioned before, is very capable of going off offensively.
Exactly.
That makes a second strike, an 0-2 count. That was a little low to the outside. We mentioned Rock being one of our very own here at Knights Broadcasting. I've worked with them on several occasions covering basketball. Very knowledgeable about sports in general. In fact, you don't really see him outside of baseball or organized events without some sort of sports hat on or some sort of jersey that he's wearing. Very much a fan of all types of sports all around. Very, very knowledgeable. Great guy to work with here in Knights Broadcasting. And he's battling right now with number 21, Logan White. Hit just past second base. It'll be a single for White. Very well placed hit.
Now batting number 41.
Yeah, that's a good hit, but Giles still looking good. First 2 at-bats, he's looked solid.
Now up to bat for the Comets is number 41, Tristan Burns. And like you said, Giles struck out his first batter and got 2 strikes on his second. That's a foul ball there for Burns. So you got 1 runner on first in White.
That one might sting. I don't know if it hit him or not.
May have either deflected off his bat and hit him more. The thing you don't want to hear is possibly hitting the fingers. That's something you don't want to have happen in baseball.
Yeah.
Looks like he's okay, though. I think it counted as a foul ball because it did make contact with the bat. You can hear that clear enough. That makes it an 0-2 count. Another strikeout for Giles. And barely getting back to first base was Logan White. The Knights thought for a second they might have gotten him out. But now up to bat for the Comets is number 22, Connor Feeney. So 2 quick outs now.
Now batting number 13, Justin Witherspoon.
Looks like they made a substitution into the lineup. Number 13, Justin Witherspoon, a junior from Reynoldsburg, Ohio, is at bat. That one landed a little to the inside, but a good drop on that one. That's something we've seen very consistently from Giles. He's got a good drop on his pitch. Good infield work from Giles. So 3 quick outs. Exactly what you needed if you're Southern Virginia. Gets you to the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, that was an impressive inning from Giles. He was in control from the start, starting with the strikeout and then doing it himself on the 3rd out.
Absolutely. Even though he gave up that hit into midfield, able to compose himself, get back to the consistent pitching that he's always reliable for, and come back to the mound for the Comets as number 17, Justin Mason. And we'll see if the Knights are able to get anything going. Again, it's been very stagnant offensively for both sides since really the 3rd inning of this game. Both defenses doing a fantastic job of making the plays in the infield, able to make the plays in the outfield as well. We've seen a couple of hits from Southern Virginia go into the outfield, just not placed where they want it to be. Make it easy outs for the Comets.
And Mason for the Comets has been steady since coming in, so it's quickly turning into a pitching battle, it seems like.
It absolutely is. Again, we mentioned number 20, Trevor Woodyard, who started the game, was very consistent throughout. Then you had the brief stint of number 46, Joey Womble, come in. He struggled a bit. And then right after him, we have, of course, like we mentioned, Justin Mason, who has been steady since, like you mentioned, Quinn, since stepping on the mound for the first time today. While we have this break, I want to remind you you're watching this on Knights Broadcasting here on YouTube. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe down below. Also, comment down below. Let us know how we're doing and how we can improve these presentations for the viewing audience, which is, of course, yourself. And be sure to hit the notification bell that we get notified every single time we go live with Southern Virginia Athletics. We appreciate your support of Knights Broadcasting. Benji Horsley, number 44, up to bat for Southern Virginia with number 6, Ty Martinez, on deck. That one a little to the outside from Mason. Now, if the Knights play their cards right, if they're able to get at least 1 run in the bottom of the 6th inning, and they play solid defense at the top of the 7th, this would be their last time at bat in this first game of the doubleheader. Good drop there from Mason. Make it a 2-1 count. That'll be a foul ball, just barely from Horsley.
And Horsley hasn't had too many at-bats this year so far, but when he has, he's been successful. He has 3 hits already. Hopefully he can continue to build off of that.
So now it's a 2-2 count. Horsley swings at that one, so strikeout for Mason. Once again, 1 quick out before the Knights can do anything at bat or get anyone on base. Ty Martinez now up to bat, and that's got to be frustrating for you if you're Southern Virginia, because again, you know that, and you're thinking about that the entire game. It was like, let's get people on base or get some things going before we get the first out, and to have that happen every single time you've been at bat today. That's got to be frustrating.
Absolutely, and I think since they've tied it, they've had 3 or 4 opportunities to take the lead in the bottom of the inning. So need that 1 bounce, that 1 break, that 1 big hit to put them over the top here.
Martinez swings at that one. Makes it a 1-1 count. Pops it up.
Out.
That's going to be out of here. Another home run for Southern Virginia. And Ty Martinez, again, who's stepping in today in place of where usually Marcelino Leonardo is on the batting lineup, gets a home run, and the Knights take the lead for the first time today.
That's the big play they needed.
And you'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah.
You have 1 home run earlier from St. John Johnson, then Ty Martinez, a similar spot as well in left field. So fantastic work from Martinez. And it's like I said, now you can only just get that in this inning and then just play fantastic defense in the next or top of the 7th and then be done with this game. That's the best case scenario for your Southern Virginia. But of course, you still have 2 outs to give. You can get some more things going with, up next being St. John Johnson.
He's already hit a home run. Yep.
So I'm sure it's a conversation happening, and now a new pitcher for the Comets once again, number 15, Spencer Knight, the senior from Lancaster, Ohio. That's definitely that thought in their heads is the guy who hit the home run the first time is right after this guy who just hit a home run. Maybe let's try to switch things up so that we're not giving them a couple of good plays in a row. So we'll see if Spencer Knight will be able to step in here.
And if you're the batters on the night, you got to feel comfortable, because when you think about it, in terms of home runs, today they've already doubled what they had the entire season.
Right.
So they certainly should be confident. Obviously, St. John having already hit a home run, so looks good for them.
It absolutely does. And so once again, the score stands 3-2 in favor of Southern Virginia for the first time today, taking the lead as they were down really quickly in the top of the first, 2-0. But again, we talked about early on, we've said it multiple times today, that the Comets, they're a team that can score a lot on you. And those first 2 runs being scored in the top of the first was not a good situation for them. But since then, they've battled back, again, getting 1 run at a time, basically. And I've got to the point where now it's basically like the tortoise and the hare. Slow and steady wins the race. And offensively, the Knights have been slow, but they've been steady, of course. You have 2 home runs. That's kind of hard to call slow, but coming in increments, which is exactly what you needed.
And this is the sign of a good team. They faced adversity against Ferrum early on last week, and they faced adversity early on here. So
Johnson.
And an error there.
Indeed, an error from number 1, Grayson Gully. Rare error from him today. He's been very reliable in the infield. It's now St. John Johnson at first with Nate McCallum up to bat and Seth Lloyd on deck.
Now batting for the Knights, number 28, Marcelino Leonardo.
In fact, they will make a change. Instead of Nate McCallum, it'll be Marcelino Leonardo. We have not seen him bat at all today. But again, we've talked about the power that he has behind his swing. Watches that one.
And as said earlier, Marcy does lead the team in runs scored. So this is a good spot for the team to be in. Throwing him back into the order.
And Johnson getting back to first. It's a 0-1 count. Leonardo was reaching for that one. Makes it an 0-2 count. Once again, trying to get Johnson at first. Leonardo gets the bat on the ball that time, and another error in the infield. And safe at second, so that error that time from number 12, Keelan Lamar. So 2 uncharacteristic errors in the infield now has the Knights with runners on first and second. Now we're at the back at the top of the batting order with number 34, Seth Lloyd, with Will Parker on deck, and still just 1 out.
And sometimes to win these games, you need breaks. You need the bounces.
Yeah.
And so far, the Knights have gotten that in this inning.
Absolutely. It's all about what skill do you possess, how well do you execute, and how much does the other team not execute at certain points, right? It's basically the first team to blink.
especially in a game like this when it's been stagnant, and see another error.
And so you have runners now on second and third, with Leonardo at second and Johnson at third. And again, you also mentioned the fact that Lloyd has been able to get on base every single time he's been up to bat, so that bodes well for Southern Virginia. Even if he just walks to first, now that makes it to where you have bases loaded, and you'd have Will Parker following up Lloyd.
Can't ask for a much better spot than this right now.
And the fact that you've already gotten back the lead with the home run, again, it gives you some room to play with. That's a little to the outside, make it a 2-0 count. So it makes it to whereas if you take a chance, you try to steal a base, or you try to put a lot of power into a swing, either way, you still got the lead and you can rely on your defense a little bit.
Oh.
A little high strike makes it a 2-1 count. Hit out into left field. That's a foul ball, but would have been a great placement if it stayed in.
Might have gotten 2 runs there if it stayed in.
Indeed, very likely that would have been the case. That makes it a 2-2 count. That pitch from Knight just a little low. That makes it a full count. And I love the patience you're seeing from Johnson there. He could have very easily justified trying to steal home plate.
Mm-hmm.
Lloyd hits out the left field.
There it is.
And it drops. That'll bring in 1 runner. That's Johnson. Johnson gets his 2nd run today.
Smart decision by Leonardo to hold up at third. Realized he wasn't going to make it to home in time. And there's still only 1 out in the inning.
Absolutely. The score now 4 runs to 2 in favor of Southern Virginia. Runner on first and on third. Now with Parker up to bat. I mean, honestly, we talked about how stagnant it has been offensively for Southern Virginia since St. John's home run in the 3rd. But to come back like this and have all these plays set up for you, easy out at first, possible double play. Lloyd is safe at second. So close. The Comets players are stunned. So Lloyd advances to second.
Too.
Indeed, yes. Leonardo got home and makes it 5 runs to 2. And Daines will be up to bat. But I mean, you talk about a close call there. You could have easily not gotten that run, had Lloyd out at second, pull off a double play for the Comets.
Yeah, the throw was just a little bit too high for the tag, I guess.
Another single here and possibly a run for Lloyd. Indeed, Lloyd gets home and makes it 6 runs to 2.
Floodgates have opened up.
They really have. They've been very, very much closed throughout the majority of this game, but the Knights, my goodness, we talk about the response they needed offensively. They needed something to happen, something to give. And when we said you needed something to give, we didn't mean that, all the water to come flooding through. You just needed a couple of drops.
Yeah.
But you know what? You're not going to complain about getting, 4 additional runs here in the bottom of the 6th.
And a sneaky good decision by putting Marcelino there back in the order.
Mm-hmm.
He, as was said, he leads the team in runs, and for a team that struggled to score, he scores, and they figured that might help, and sure enough, he scored at his first at bat, and first time on base.
And another pitching change for the Comets, this time number 4, Adam Frump, the freshman from Blanchester, Ohio.
And another thing with these doubleheaders is you want to get out front early. And if you're able to win the first game, then you can settle down. Obviously not ease off. The second game is just as important, but there's not as much pressure that you've already lost the first one.
Right, absolutely. And we talk about the pitching change. This is the 5th pitcher for the Comets in this first game of the doubleheader, which, again, pitching-wise, that puts you in a little bit of a pickle going to the second game because you've already gone through several pitchers, whereas the Knights, they're only on their second.
Yep.
With Rock Giles.
They've got fresh arms in the dugout.
They absolutely do, and that is huge in doubleheaders like this if you're Southern Virginia. You love to see that right now where you're working well offensively, you're making contact with the ball, getting good base running action, and then also, again, defensively, you're still pretty fresh going into the second game. If you're a head coach, you're thinking to yourself, this day is going pretty well. So we'll see if Mitch Smith is able to continue the trend for Southern Virginia in the bottom of the 6th.
Now batting for the Knights, number 20, Mitch Smith.
Another guy for the Knights that's already helped the team score earlier in the day. Good person to have up to bat.
Absolutely, again, with a runner only on first. Gets that to bounce in the outfield. A single for him.
Wow.
And advances Danes to second. So the first pitch from Frump. Smith is able to get into the outfield. Now Ben Agnew up to bat with runners on first and second.
And it's important to keep going here. You know that Capital, they have a good offense. They've hit very well so far this season. So you don't want to count them out either.
That one a little high to the inside. Make it a 1-0 count. That one right down the middle for Frump. Make it a 1-1 count. And another error on an infield play. And another run scored for Southern Virginia. Again, the uncharacteristic mistakes we're seeing from Capital in this 6th inning. Try to underhand throw it to number 1, Grayson Goley at first. But it's fumbled, and now it makes it 7 runs to 2 with runners on first and third. And Horsley up to bat.
It's a tough inning for the Comets, and at the same time, you got to wonder about the confidence of their pitcher right now. That obviously wasn't his error, but at least I don't think it was. Forgot who threw it, but it's tough right now for the Comets.
Indeed, that was Goley who went to underhand it. That one a little to the inside. Makes it a 2-0 count. And again, there's 2 outs. So if you're the Comets, you're just thinking to yourself, okay, we just need one more good play. We need one more good series of pitching. That's all we need. And we can get back and try to respond offensively after giving up 5 runs in the bottom of the 6th. Whereas you're Southern Virginia, again, if an inning like this doesn't give you confidence, I don't know what will. So defensively, you're thinking to yourself, we just need to play defense for one more inning, and we got this victory in the bag. But, of course, you can't think that strongly. You have to, of course, execute and do your job. Now bases are loaded.
Yeah, you know, an inning like this is important for your entire season. The Knights, they've struggled to score, and they haven't scored more than than 5 runs, I think, in a game. So an inning like this where they, in just one inning, equal any game total they've had, it's huge.
And the batter that started it all in this inning, Ty Martinez, up to bat with St. John Johnson on deck. He had a home run to get things started here in the bottom of the 6th. And a strike there, make it an 0-1 count.
Yeah, when you're batting for the second time in an inning, something's got to be going right.
Well, it depends on who's talking about it. If you're defensively,
Yeah.
you're thinking it's one of the worst things ever.
Yeah.
But offensively, you're thinking this is great.
Yeah.
That makes it an 0-2 count. So Frump hoping here to get the strikeout on the guy that started this rush of scoring in the first place. That one a little high. Make it a 1-2 count.
And the last run that scored was from Nick Danes, who, for him, maybe not the start to the season that he envisioned hitting-wise, but he gets that big double and gets a run in and off to the races.
That one also a little outside. Makes it a 2-2 count. That'll be a foul ball for Martinez. Again, yeah, bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the 6th, scores 7 runs to 2 in favor of Southern Virginia. For those who are recently tuning in, the Knights have scored 5 runs in this inning alone. That was a little to the inside. I'll make it a full count.
Let's see if the Comets can dig deep here and find a way to end the inning.
Martinez gets a hand on that one.
He's gone.
Another home run
Wow.
for Martinez with bases
Grand slam.
loaded. Indeed, yes, a grand slam for Martinez. What a day he is having. He had the home run at the beginning of this inning. Now a grand slam. My goodness. That makes it 11 runs to 2, with 9 of those scored in the bottom of the 6th. Again, we mentioned the Knights needed to do something offensively. We didn't think they'd take that so personally. I mean, goodness gracious. Now, following him is St. John Johnson.
And was that the second home run of the inning for Martinez?
Indeed, it
Wow.
was. So, Martinez, you're having yourself a day. A little low to the outside.
And another great thing for the Knights is they're getting results from guys who haven't played that often.
Yeah.
And so this bodes well for the next game and the rest of the season.
And a single for Johnson.
Yeah, the Comets just can't find a way out of this inning.
I mean, that hit, it was a very slow hit, and so, yeah, the third baseman have to run up to grab it, and then by the time he got it, Johnson was already more than halfway to the base. That would have been a tough play to handle. That was third baseman number 21, Logan White, trying to make that play. And now Nate McCallum up to bat. Actually, excuse me, that's Leonardo. And he'll be out at second. And finally, the Comets can put an end to the 6th inning. So again, I want to correct myself. That was Leonardo who was at bat for that one, trying to hit it down the center of the field. Nice little play at second there for the Comets. So again, the score now stands 11 runs to 2 in favor of Southern Virginia. And the Knights, all they have to do is close at the top of the 7th, and this first game of the doubleheader is over. As again, these doubleheader games only go to 7 innings, and the Knights bat at the bottom of the inning. Pitching once again for Southern Virginia is Rock Giles, who, like we mentioned before, in the last inning, was very, very solid. Again, pitching overall for Southern Virginia has been very solid today. You see Stockton Hall getting a couple of strikeouts, especially to close out the last inning that he pitched, I believe it was. Then Rock Giles getting a couple of strikeouts as well. Defense playing well behind him. So again, you can't just think that you've got it in the bag. You got to execute, but things are looking well for you if you're the Knights.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with that big inning offensively, you don't want to let down. You want to end this the right way. And if you can, 3 batters and 3 outs.
Absolutely. That's the best case scenario. Want to once again remind you, you're watching this on Knights Broadcasting here on YouTube. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know how we're doing and how we can improve this viewing experience for you. And be sure to hit that notification bell that we get notified every single time we go live with Southern Virginia Athletics. Thank you for supporting Knights Broadcasting. And now up to bat for the Comets. We're back to the top of the batting order with number 5, Regan Birch. And right down the middle for Giles. And for Giles, the last time he was pitching, it was a completely different scenario. You were tied 2-2. You were trying to just give your offense a chance to do something. But now you're defending a 9-run lead. Another strike for Giles.
It's certainly gotta be an advantage for the pitcher.
Absolutely.
In a tie game, you might feel the pressure, but now you can let it loose with not much pressure at all.
That one a little high for Giles. Makes it a 1-2 count.
Yeah, it's very impressive for Giles to sink that ball in there. See the other pitch got him swinging.
That one also just a tad high, making a 2-2 count. Yeah, that sinker for Giles, that's his old reliable that we've seen throughout the year so far. And an error results in the Comets getting a single. So a little history repeating itself, only for the opposite team, as he had a situation there where number 20 Mitch Smith had the chance to get the easy out. Just a couple of unfortunate bounces. It's now runner on first for Capital. That one a little inside. Makes it a 1-0 count. Now 1-1. And up to bat now is number 12, Keelan Lamar. That one just a little outside. The rare fastball from Giles. Foul ball. Makes it a 2-2 count.
Comets haven't quite been able to figure out Giles.
And a strikeout for Giles. Just need 2 more and this game is over. So now up to bat is number 23. That is E.J. Santana. Pardon me, they've made a change in the batting lineup as well for this part of the lineup. This is number 2, Ryan Brophy, the sophomore from Ontario, Ohio. That makes it a 1-0 count. I believe we announced Brophy as the designated runner in the last inning. It appears that was not correct. That was right down the middle for Giles. Make it a 1-1 count.
Kind of shows how much Giles is on his game. He's only faced 6 batters and he already has 3 strikeouts.
That's percentage anyone will take, honestly. Another strike,
Wow.
Make it a 1-2 count. Like you said, Giles is in his element right now.
He's found that sweet spot where the comments aren't willing to swing.
A little low to the outside. And the Knights are also in a great position to set up a double play should Brophy get a battle on the ball. Another strikeout for Giles. So 4 strikeouts now.
4 for 7. Wow.
Now batting number 44.
And next batter up is number 44, Ryan McKinney. I love the fact that Rock Giles is representing Knights broadcasting well. Love to see it. So now 2 outs, top of the 7th.
You don't typically make a percentage out of strikeouts to batter's face, but he's making us do that right now.
That shows you the good day that he is having so far. That first one a little outside. Make it a 1-0 count. So now if you're Southern Virginia, there's a lot of options to you. Of course, Giles is pitching very, very well. Could potentially get another strikeout here. Or you can make a play in the infield, get him out at first. You wouldn't need the double play at this point. You just feel like defensively that the whole world's open to you right now. The last pitch makes it a 2-0 count. Another strike for Giles. Makes it a 2-1 count. Foul ball. That makes it a 2-2 count. So this next pitch could very easily end the game for the first part of this doubleheader.
Super calm now as well. Almost no wind.
Indeed, it was very breezy earlier today. You could probably hear it through the microphones here on the broadcast. That one a little high, makes it a full count. That's popped straight up. This should be an easy play. And indeed it is for number 43, Nick Daines. And the Knights close out the first game of this doubleheader with a phenomenal 9-run 6th inning, making the victory 11 runs to 2 in favor of the Knights. So the Knights' third home outing is a dominant victory in the first part of this doubleheader. You just love to see, again, the offensive response after the first 6 innings were just a stagnant 2-2 to come back like that ferociously with 2 home runs from Ty Martinez and 9 runs in total. What a way to close things out.
Exactly. What we talked about before the game is offense. They need more runs. They need more hits, and that's exactly what they did while still keeping up with their good defensive play.
If we had access to it, we'd play the clip of Michael Jordan saying, and I took that personally. They took that personally in today's game and dominated with 9 runs once again scored in that 6th inning. But like we said before, this is the first half of the doubleheader here today. Once again, I'm Dawson Weidrich, joined by Quinn Meyer. We'll be joining you for the second game here, which will take place in about a half an hour here on Knights Broadcasting. So don't go away. We'll be right back with the second game.